Hello again! It's time for some more fantastic Bible crafts. Today's story is a really interesting one where Peter and Jesus walk on water. Through it, we learn that God is our rock, that we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus, and He will help us and give us the strength and faith to see us through any kind of storm. Well, our first craft today is going to really focus on that element of keeping our eyes on Christ. The second craft is sort of more just a fun water-themed craft. So let's get right to business here. The first craft that we're going to make is going to be a Waves of Fear craft, but it's not scary, don't worry. So I'm going to use a paper plate as my base, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a cross. So I'm going to put a cross on my plate because Jesus is the center of this. And then we're going to surround it by waves, but keep the cross right at, you can put it at the top or really right in the middle. I'm going to kind of put my cross in the middle. I'm just going to use popsicle sticks. You can use pieces of paper or cloth or whatever kind of cross you prefer. Well, that almost worked. There we go. And my cross is in the center. Now I'm going to cut out, I'm going to tape that down for reinforcement. And around it, I'm going to put my waves. So I'm going to cut out some waves here. You can do like water droplets, or I'm just going to kind of make these look wavy. I've got some curly waves here, and maybe I'll do some more pointed or chopped waves. You can get creative with what kind of waves you want, of course, but I'm going to put these waves around my plate with the cross in the center. And on each one of my waves, I'm going to write something that could be hard or scary to deal with. Because the point then is that throughout these waves, Jesus is still with us. He is there riding the waves along with us. So I'm also going to make one more little piece of paper for a caption that you can place at the top or bottom of the paper. And now it's time to write on these and put them all together. So I'm going to write out the scary things on these waves. So this could be something like tests at school, or bullies, or fight with a friend, or maybe bad dreams, anything that can be anxiety raising, scary, worrisome, anything like that. Let's see. Decisions make me worried. I don't know about you. Maybe not so much for kids, but we're just putting all the reality on here. How about big dogs? So those are the things that can be scary. Then caption is going to remind us, even in waves of fear, Jesus is with me. And now we're going to attach those things all over my plate. So I'm going to put my verse on the top of the plate. And now we can just stick the scary waves all over the place here. And then if you would like to, you can also hang this up somehow with a string or a pipe cleaner or what have you. Or you can just leave it as is. And remember to focus on Christ. There we go. So there we have craft number 1. My waves. Jesus is with us through the waves. Craft number 2, we're going to actually make a little boat. And it's possible that we can even get it to sail. We'll see. But I'm going to start off with, don't mind the ping pong balls, that's part of it as well. But I'm going to start off with a cup, and I'm going to actually cut my cup in half. I'm going to try to get right there at halfway exactly. And once I have my cup cut, I'm going to secure it back together. Don't worry, this is going somewhere, I promise. So I'm just going to put some tape around it here and secure it right in the middle. Now, before I make it seaworthy, I'm going to add a couple little items. I'm going to put a sail in it. So I'm going to use a straw. I'm going to just poke a little hole for my straw to go through. And then I'm going to snip the top of this. I don't need it quite so long. And I'm going to put a sail on top of that, just so it looks a little more, boat-ish. So I'll cut a triangle out of some paper here and secure that to my straw, well, my mast, I suppose. And now I'm going to, well, that's not at all straight, so let's try that again. Now I'm going to attempt to make this somewhat seaworthy by adding aluminum foil. So around all of this, I'm going to wrap my foil. Now, just because this worked once doesn't mean it will work again. So we'll see. This is kind of just a fun experiment. But even if it doesn't float, it's still going to look cool. So I'm going to wrap the aluminum foil. If you don't want to try to make this something you could actually float, you can just use paper and then decorate it. But it's kind of fun to attempt the floating element. I think it's kind of fun anyway. Make sure my sail is standing up still. There we go. And the aluminum foil is all the way around the boat, kind of making it look like a hot dog. I'm going to get a little more foil here, so I can kind of really secure those sides. And also make it look even more boatish. Boatish is definitely a word. Or I guess maybe it's boaty. I don't know. Either way. Got some more foil here. And there we go, little guy. It's tough to get to stand up. So I'm also going to add in some sailors. In this case, maybe it's Peter and Jesus. or just whoever you want. You can take some clothespins or some ping pong balls, maybe some of both. I'm going to draw some faces on them. And you can decorate them further if you would like to, if you want to get really creative. In the interest of time, I'm not going to decorate them a lot. But if you're not trying to float this, you can use clothespins. Obviously, those will kind of make it sink. So if you are trying to make this boat float, I'd recommend the ping pong balls. And I'm just going to draw a little face on my ping pong ball here. Maybe I'll give it some hair. Maybe I'll do another one with beard. And here's my other little sailor floating in my boat. Now you've got a couple options here. So again, if you don't want to even attempt to make this float, that is absolutely fine. And you can simply put it to sea on a nice floating piece of paper. And you can decorate this floating piece of paper to remember the story, saying something like, Jesus is with me through all of life's storms and waves. Something like that. And you could even add, you could make this look wavy if you wanted to. You could add some extra waves. Or if you want to make this into more of a science experiment and go with the theme, rather than just having your little boat here, you can attempt to see if it will float. So let's just try it out real quick. I'm not making any promises once again, but we're going to see if this guy, with or without the ping pong balls, is going to float. So set that aside for a moment. And of course you can use other materials as well. You can use boxes, you can use cardboard, you can experiment with different materials. It's totally up to you. But let's just see if our little boat is going to make it. The moment of truth. Voila! As it turns out, it's floating along just fine. So there you have a wonderful floating boat. Could even take it home for the bathtub, who knows? And our Jesus is with us waves experiment. Both fun crafts, both memorable for this story, and hopefully both fun to help communicate important biblical truths to your audience, wherever and with whomever that might be. Feel free to use, adapt, share, whatever is best for you. Now, go make some crafts, make some disciples, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.